downside is that there's a good deal of evidence that's saying that early spaying and neutering is part of what's contributing to the epidemic of cancer in pets and the epidemic of joint disease and all of this stuff. That research started about 7 years ago from UC Davis, and they looked at the records of golden retrievers and then golden retrievers and Labradors. And so, this is 2,000 to 4,000 animals that they reviewed medical records of and then made a report about it. And so what they found was that spayed and neutered animals, or let me flip that around, unspayed and unneutered dogs had much, much, much lower incidence of cancer, of all the really bad stuff, hemangiosarcomas, lymphomas. These are bad, bad tumors. And they also, in intact, unneutered male golden retrievers, there was 0 incidence of ruptured cruciate ligaments. In neutered male dogs, the incidence was estimated at something like 8 to 10%. And I think that's probably higher because a lot of people cut off their endocrine systems from ever developing fully. And so that has to have consequences. In women that have to go through ovariectomy early for medical reasons, our lifespans, if you're under 35, your median survival time has just dropped from 78 to 65. If you are menopausal, so 55 to 65, if you have to have both ovaries removed, you have just lost 4 years off of your life, period. And so finally, on the human side, they're recognizing this and not just ripping out ovaries left, right, and center. So, but for our pets, losing those sources of hormone production, I think, puts the entire endocrine system out of balance. So not only, estrogen, progesterone, testosterone, things of that nature, but it's going to affect the adrenal glands, because the adrenal glands are now responsible for making the physiologic levels of sex hormones that are needed to make the body run. And also thyroid function, things of that nature. So what do? If you have the option and you have adopted a pet that is unneutered, unspayed, fight like hell to wait at least 18 months before this pet is spayed or neutered. If you can, at all possible, wait 5 years. So there's something called the old. Now, here's what your veterinarian is going to tell you, but they're going to get prostate cancer and they're going to get breast cancer. And that is true. The incidence for those diseases go up if your dog is still intact. It's unspayed or neutered. However, when I started practice in 1990, nobody spayed and neutered really at that point. It wasn't a thing that had caught on at that point. And dogs also lived outside. I would much rather have to deal with breast cancer in dogs where you have a 50% chance of it being benign and a 75% chance of taking the tumors out and you're over and done with, and dealing with prostate cancer than I would lymphoma, hemangiosarcoma. All these osteosarcs, all of these things are horrible tumors. They cut off our pets' lives, and they're starting to occur younger and younger. And I'm talking about 5 and 6. Dogs are being diagnosed with rampant, like this stuff has already spread all over the body, and there's just not a heck of a lot anybody can do at that point. So I would much rather have to deal with prostate cancer and breast cancer, because again, the incidences we saw, before spay and neutering was happened to everybody, were much, much lower and much easier to deal with. And Jeff, good on you. If you have Rotties that are 16 and 18, you're doing the right stuff, man. So that's my story about spay and